power creep, the phenomenon where as time passes, things get better or stronger or more overpowered. And while this case is mostly presented in multiplayer games, with the continued stream of new content being better content, single-player games also provide examples of this occurrence. One case is the games made by Mr. Zaki, the Dark Souls games. As we progressed from Demon Souls to Dark Souls 3, the bosses got harder and harder and harder. I'm just assuming for Demon Souls I didn't play it. But the games weren't just made harder without consideration or thought. There was always reasoning and compensation. At first it was infinite healing, then it was faster rolls, and finally once we got to Elden Ring it was summons. Along with the player base getting better and better with every game, there was always something else to help ease the players into the increased difficulty. Which leads us to the latest game in this series, NightReign.
They reduced him to a Fortnite boss.
Everyone is a Fortnite boss. It seems in a bid to increase the difficulty even more, Mr. Zaki has resorted to the most terrifying change yet, multiplayer. You can certainly make the bosses tougher. If you provide 3 different health bars, you can make the bosses 3 times as hard. But that's not what happened here. Thankfully, NightReign hasn't gone in the direction of Shadow the Wordski, and while the bosses aren't pushovers, they aren't on the levels of Melania or Radon. But enough about hypothetical power creep. NightReign is great. They managed to take an open-world action role-playing game and turn it into a gripping roguelike with one of the best core gameplay loops. Despite the Fortnite storm, and the map and the bird drops, the gameplay is more like something like Gungeon. NightReign takes the world of Elden Ring and shrinks it down, placing you on a smaller island while giving you 2 days to become as strong as you can before you get to fight a final boss at a lore-relevant arena on night 3. But before you get there, you have about 30 minutes to run around, loot, kill enemies, loot, kill bosses, and loot. You're trying your best to get as strong as you can in terms of levels, weapons, and passives in order to have a good chance against a very well-statted boss.
I heard this guy's really powerful. We'll see about that.
You start off at level 1 with basically no health, but every enemy you and your team defeat drops souls, which can be used to level up at any of the bonfires across the map. You don't get to choose your stats anymore, the character you choose determines what stat increases you have, done to correspond with the faster game state. On your map will be many landmarks, places with enemies and a boss, or churches that give you an additional charge of Estus. Defeating a boss will drop a loot egg, where you can pick between drops. And that's the general core gameplay loop. Go to place, beat boss, repeat until night over. The game is made and balanced around the time limit. You only have a limited amount of time on the map, which means you won't be able to get to everything.
I am Groot.
But not every location is equally rewarding, so pathing becomes really important. Figuring out which way to go each time the map gets scrambled keeps runs fresh and distinct, and the time limit is just enough where you can get everything done if you have a good plan, while short enough where you won't be able to do everything. We had multiple runs where we were able to hit most locations while defeating most great bosses, and with just a bit of time to spare. An aspect of gameplay is running up to a boss, checking our damage, and realizing we're too low level, and it would be a bad idea. For some reason, the Bell-Bearing Hunter would always give us this problem.
As long as it's not Bearing Hunter. It's Bearing Hunter we skip. Is that Bearing Hunter? Get out. One shot.
Speaking of bosses, they will come in all shapes and sizes, whether it be a swarm of humanoids, a couple of knights, or meese. But this is where I have a slight problem. Greater bosses show up in the overworld, not in arenas, but on terrain and just all over the map. The issue I have is that the way these bosses interact with uneven terrain doesn't seem completely fleshed out. Lots of these bosses have jumps that put them on high ground, interrupting both their attacks and yours. And all of a sudden, you have to wait for the boss to come back to a place where you can fight it. This is a similar mechanic to the Fortnite storm, where if the boss leaves the center, you have to wait for them to come back or take free damage. But that not only seems more intentional, the boss doesn't bug out, but it's during the part of the game where the time limit is paused. But this is a small thing and probably a simple fix. Despite the randomness inherent in the gameplay, there are still constants that let you have control over your run. Certain chests will always have the same kind of loot, and landmarks will have symbols letting you know what damage type weapons they're likely to drop. And because you start the run challenging a specific boss with a specific weakness, it's another layer to your strategy. I will say the holy and lightning symbols look a little too similar, especially since the icons will be very small on your screen a vast majority of the time. While the map is big, the sprint, double jump, and removal of fall damage more than makes up for it. working seamlessly with the time limit. You need to hurry up, and the game gives you the tools to do so. NightReign is a distinctly different experience than the previous games in the series. Exploration is still rewarded, but not as incentivized. You'll figure out normal landmarks after visiting them a couple of times, and killing bosses just seems more rewarding. Souls combined with a potential weapon upgrade or buff. It trades that sense of exploration for the tension of a time limit, and I think it's done well. Exploration isn't completely gone though. Shifting Earth changes the map and introduces more map objectives. Some are more rewarding than others, but give something for exploration.
Oh my god, my health bar doubled.
The biggest change made, other than the timer and the map, has been the multiplayer. NightReign is a 3-player experience. Triple the people, triple the fun.
What am I called? Dog water. No. I want to say that was a dog. I'm saying
If you get downed, your companions have a chance to pick you back up by swinging at you. This is a really smart way to introduce a new mechanic. How do you pick someone up? Just do something you were already doing. This type of revival is also clearly designed with 3 players in mind. One of you takes the aggro and the other one picks them up.
Oh, I think I want to. He's on me.
If 2 people are downed, you better do a good job kiting or have an ultimate in order to salvage it. But even with this in mind, I have a small problem. The hurtbox on down players seems inconsistent, and you end up swinging over them more often than I'm comfortable with. And so I'm incentivized to use lock-on. But because they're on the ground, I turn on lock-on, and I can't see the boss anymore. I can see how this can encourage teamwork. While you're picking your friend up, you rely on their comms to avoid attacks.
He's on you.
But I never found this consistent, and the game doesn't have built-in voice chat, so I can't even be sure if that's what they were going for. I also found that level 3 revival to be a bit too punishing. I get that you shouldn't be getting knocked 3 times, but look at this. That was my whole ultimate. Again, that might not even be an issue, but I think if they made it so that you lose less stamina while picking up a friend, it would make it feel a bit better while also opening up strategy. Multiplayer does end up with challenges of its own.
I'm better, guys. Please.
Bosses with fast movement or teleports can make fights feel like chases rather than actual fights. And with 3 people in the arena with many reasons to not group up, it ends up happening a bit too much. And the age-old problem of bosses being too big for the camera come back into play. But with 3 players, it's even harder to tell where the attack is going, and the fight feels even more out of your control. But even with all of these slight issues, the gameplay is as solid as ever. Dodge and hit. And the game gives you plenty of opportunity to feel powerful. Once you get ahead in levels, you can fight just about any boss on the map. And 3 players wailing on the boss all at once, staggering them over and over again is very satisfying. Staggers and backstabs happen a lot, an additional benefit of multiplayer, so much so that I even stopped saying my funny one-liner. The game does heavily incentivize staying together. While the souls are shared among everyone, you have to be there to collect the loot from the boss.
Man, I'm dead.
And you can't pick up your friends if they're far away. But overall, I think the multiplayer aspect is pulled off pretty well. You get the fun of a cooperative game with one of the most enjoyable core gameplay loops.
Bro, I'm trying to parry. Oh, it's left trigger. I'm pressing right trigger.
Even if you can hit the enemy while your teammate got caught in a command grab. Couple more small things. As a legacy player, it's really disappointing that there are only 9 new bosses, and they're all Night Lords locked behind the end of the night. For some, it may seem like a 30-minute run back, but I enjoyed the 30 minutes before the boss so much to wholeheartedly agree with this. The legacy bosses coming back are really cool.
No way.
I just wish they chose different bosses. Dancer and Nameless are perfect if we disregard DLC, and I think Gaping is iconic enough.
Oh my god, we did cut off its tail. Wait, this game's actually good.
But Centipede Demon? Duke Steer Freya? Really? And Smelter Demon?
Oh, come on.
I love Dark Souls 2.
Dark Souls 2 had some great bosses to choose, Post Malone, Velstad, Fume Knight, but I'm sure this will all be remedied in the DLC. And of course, no crossplay is really dumb, and no voice chat is pretty silly. Overall consensus, game is fun, really fun. 3 players all getting into a flow state fighting one boss together is very satisfying, and the game is challenging enough where we took many runs to defeat the final boss Drizzy Drake, and it was very satisfying once we did.
You're getting him! We did it!
But before I recommend this game, I need to reveal the real reason behind this video. This game is good, and you should play it, but make sure you have 2 friends around your skill level, and make sure your graphics card can run it properly. Our friend the Wilder player has a 2090, and for some reason, even after he tried every fix he could find, every single time we made it to the final boss, his game would lag out, leading to some hilarious results. It's spinning! Which led to us realizing that these bosses were balanced for 3. So our brilliant minds thought if he hosted, the problem would be solved. It wasn't, but something hilarious happened. When our friend lagged out, so did the boss. But we didn't. And so, to end the video, here's a compilation of this game being completely broken in our favor. And to be clear, this still happened after the week 1 patch.
If you have a choice.
Oh my god!
Hey, see what happens? See what happens when 3 of them pop out?
Yeah.
We just ignore 2 of them. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Have fun, guys. Cause I'm not having that.
I'm not having anything.
Oh my god.
Amazing game. And how do I buy this game again?
I haven't even seen the boss yet.
You haven't seen the boss yet. Right above us is man, I'm still.
This is my last one for the day.
Whoa!
Yeah, I'll wait when I ultimate.
Who's lagging?
Lagging.
Take care of them, man.
Back up. Oh my god. Where's he going?
I didn't even know how I.
It's fixed now, probably the Nvidia patch or something, but this was pretty funny. The full compilation is in the description. Just a few more thoughts a few weeks later. Weekly bosses should have end of night bosses a lot more varied. I don't want to fight the same guys every attempt, it's the closest I felt to a 30-minute boss run. Solo queuing was solo queuing, but the pings were enough to communicate just about everything we needed to communicate. Maybe it was only so smooth because I was challenging the super bosses. Also keep making bosses like Super Fulgor, don't make more like Super Big Bird. And give us more skins. And maybe castle meta is a bit repetitive, maybe make more souls available on the map. Game is good when it works, very excited for what comes next.